Every single interaction that me and my team have had over the last 3 years has led us to today. This is modern RevOps. Hi, my name is Sahil Agarwal, and I'm one of the co-founders and CEO of Rattle. We started Rattle 3 years ago to solve a very simple problem. RevOps can be, actually, should be the most strategic person at the table, but they never get a minute to sit still. Because a typical day for a RevOps expert includes far too much tactical work. 1 minute, they're working on the minutiae, like troubleshooting a Salesforce bug, and then magically they're asked to switch to strategic work like finding critical bottlenecks in their GTM org. It's impossible. That's why we're launching the next iteration of Rattle, the first ever platform built specifically for modern RevOps leaders. By making all of their revenue processes easy, delightful, and step-by-step simple, Rattle 2.0 should be able to curate experiences for all their stakeholders. This opens up time so they can finally focus on strategy. I'll show you exactly how it works. And I promise, no jargon and no broad generalizations. Only real-world examples for how Rattle 2.0 would fit into your go-to-market team's workflow and change it forever. We'll also bring some of our customers so they can share the impact that they have seen in their orgs. And one thing I can guarantee you, once you experience Rattle 2.0, you will ask yourself how you ever managed without it. Now let's go. Let me show you how Rattle 2.0 modernizes RevOps. Let's talk about the most impactful piece of the puzzle, and frankly, my favorite, how modern RevOps leaders can curate their own team's experience with Rattle. I'm so excited to show you our groundbreaking feature. We're calling it Atlas. But before I show you Atlas, I wanted to quickly talk about the massive problem it addresses. RevOps often spends hundreds of hours building a sales process, maybe even more, operationalizing it in Salesforce using flows, and training the revenue team on it. But if I were to ask you right now to pick any active deal in your CRM and see if the sales rep has done everything that they should have, I know the answer would likely be no. Now, before you ask yourself, where did I go wrong? It's because the process is static. It's either in a Google document or it's in a sales enablement platform. It's like having a paper map. Your sellers aren't opening this paper map at every step of the deal. They are following it by memory, and that's where they miss out on critical steps. Atlas turns this static map into a GPS, reminding your sellers at every step what they are supposed to do and when. The magic is, we will remind them in the same platform where they already live and collaborate. There is simply no chance to forget. Let's see how it works. This is an Atlas. It's a visual representation of your entire sales process. This particular Atlas maps your customer journey from a lead to a deal to a customer. Let's zoom into the deal journey. As you can see, my process requires SDRs to input handoff notes at the discovery stage. My process requires my AEs to fill the necessary fields from MedPick right after the first demo. And my process requires that the AE should fill in the demo date and disposition the meeting. And as part of my process again, if the deal is greater than 100K, it should automatically create a deal room with the entire deal team and loop in the CRO if the deal has ever been in the proposal stage for more than 30 days. Now, every single blog that you see is connected to Salesforce, so it can be applied to every single record. And it's also connected to Slack and Microsoft Teams, where it's being enforced. As an example, let me click on this block to show you how easy it is. These are simple conditions. Here, my condition is if any of the fields in MedPick are not entered by the AE at this particular stage, they should be alerted in Slack or Microsoft Teams. And let's see what this experience looks like for an AE. Now, as an AE, I would get this alert from Rattle in Slack or MS Teams. There is a nice little button there, which I can simply click. It shows me all those MedPick fields, and I can input this information without ever having to leave the experience of Slack and Microsoft Teams. There's another button there, which is servicing enablement content. Say the rep is not sure which questions to ask to get the metrics content. So that button will serve them enablement content on most common questions they should be asking to identify the metrics or the pain point or whatever else you have to serve to them. As you can already see, the benefit is not only Atlas is visual and you can identify process gaps, it is also consistently applied to every single deal in your pipeline, and it works where your team already is. There is no new system for them to learn. But here's the most phenomenal part. Every single block gives a real-time status on the process to tell you whether the process is actually working, needs enablement, or maybe you just break up the process in two different parts, or maybe you just remove the whole process. Now in this example, I can see that my team is really bad at entering demo dates. You're not alone. Almost every team is bad at dispositioning their meetings. There are 113 records where it's missing. I can click on this number here, see the exact records, but the biggest part is you can see who the biggest defaulter is. I can see Jennifer is the biggest defaulter on my team. And you know what? I can simply send her a moment in time alert, which pings her in Slack or Microsoft Teams and tells her that, hey, Jennifer, you have 23 records where this hasn't been filled in. Think how easy it is for me and for Jennifer. It's a delightful experience for both parties. And the final thing here is trends. I can see whether people are more out of compliance now or less out of compliance. This particular example, the trend is going down, which means that my team is getting better. The next time your CRO asks you, what are we doing at stage 4? You can simply pull up Atlas. This changes the game on how you not only map and enforce your process, but also how you demonstrate it to your sales leaders. This is modern RevOps. But you have heard enough from me. Of course, I think it's the best thing since a rocket-powered dinosaur. But let's hear it from Kiran Sneth, who is the RevOps leader at Qualified, on what Atlas means for him and his team. Hey, Kiran, nice to see you.
Great to see you.
Thanks for doing this.
Of course.
So see, RevOps is new, but it's evolving so fast. How do you think of RevOps a few years ago, and how do you think of modern RevOps today?
Yeah. The old version of RevOps is to align your marketing, sales, and customer operating procedures and develop those standard languages. I think now it's going to become more predictive, right? It's not only that alignment across marketing, sales, and success, but you also need to be that gentle hand that is always pushing things forward. That could be a deal that comes into the pipeline, a deal that has all of a sudden been forecasted, but you need to kind of apply that gentle hand. And this is once you build that predictable cycle, pushing everything through it in a predictable way and in an efficient way.
What challenges led you to even try Rattle?
Yeah, the challenges that led me to try Rattle were actually being that gentle hand, push things forward and help progress the business. That was the big thing for us. Our reps can't always be in Salesforce. They can't always be in a spreadsheet, and they're always on their devices. Yeah. So we wanted to deliver what matters most to us, to their mobile devices and to their PCs.
Can you talk more about how Atlas fits in?
Yeah, of course. So Atlas was a real game changer for us. What Atlas really enables me to do is visualize our entire alert ecosystem, if you will, everything that we have going on. But then I'm also able to view the amount of volume that we have out, that are eligible for each of those steps. So this allows me to visualize our entire revenue life cycle. Not only that, I can spot the areas where we're running into issues or where accounts, deals are being flagged, and then I can take action. We used to do this in a list or in a spreadsheet. The big thing is the volume, like either showing us like the sum or like of deal value that's stuck in a particular stage that's been eligible for an alert, or the count of opportunities. When we see these big breakdowns in our process, we know that something else is needed. Okay, hey, this is too many alerts for an individual or a team of like opportunities, and we'll split that into, hey, we're going to send alerts every single day for this quarter, and we'll send alerts once a week for anything that's outside of quarter. So it's really being able to like build that entire life cycle, understand the volume that's happening here. With any area, we're able to drill down, we're able to send alerts to the reps, proactively fix what we're seeing, but we can also add process right into that. And it's very visually easy to like see where you need to kind of make a process addition.
And how would you do this process before Atlas?
At large, we wouldn't. It was very difficult for us to make process changes and bring in new alerts to our previous kind of setup. It's one of the areas where Rattle really helped with Atlas. So we've got a very clear idea of what's running, what's going well, what's going wrong, and where we could make additional workflows into that alerting lifecycle.
Have there been any instances where you were able to get more visibility with your senior leadership, or they were able to gain visibility into your work?
I actually meet with my CRO, Robert Zimmerman, like every day at 5, and we do deal reviews.
Every day?
Every day.
Okay.
And one of the areas that I'm able to improve my workflow with Robert, my CRO, is just by sitting down and going through Atlas. Okay, we were very focused in a given meeting on like one area of the funnel, and I would kind of set that, before we went into the meeting, I'd say, hey, we're going to be focused here today. Now we just open up Atlas and we're able to see, okay, great, this is how many, are in these particular areas. We make a dynamic decision on that call of what we're going to dig into.
And how has the team's reaction been?
It's been great. They really like it. I think we got up and running a lot faster than we thought we would. I think what the team is most excited about is just all of the additional functionality that you guys are bringing, right? We used to use this as a simple Slack alert. It's a lot more than that now. We're able to kind of cover our entire revenue lifecycle. We're able to provide actions. All of our key metrics are sent out in leaderboards on a daily and weekly basis. That covers things from pipeline generation, deals closed, to customer success metrics as well. Real-time feed of information and action. That's where Rattle can help. It could take a vanilla process that is maybe working in a mediocre fashion, and it could make it work quite well. Every business has a process in place. Every business probably wants to improve that process. Rattle gives you the ability to kind of make that improvement right there in an automated fashion.
Do you think Rattle gives Qualified a competitive advantage?
100%, it does. It really enables me to orchestrate our entire go-to-market team in real time, right? Something changes inside of our Salesforce instance, such as like an intent value or a key account has a session on our website. I'm able to alert the account executive, the inside sales rep immediately. If we had a customer that all of a sudden gave us a negative email, we're able to alert the entire success team and leadership within moments. This is what gives us the competitive advantage. We're able to move on things incredibly quickly with Rattle, and we're able to unify our entire go-to-market team around one really efficient, almost real-time process powered by Rattle. I actually think Rattle is such a powerful technology that you could actually have a team just for Rattle. When your organization is that large, I believe that you could have dedicated resources just to managing your entire revenue lifecycle with Rattle.
Kieran, this was amazing. Thanks for taking the time, and I loved every bit of it.
Me too. Really enjoyable. Thank you, Sahil.
Let's talk about how modern RevOps uses Rattle to curate a revenue leader's experience, from reacting to last-minute slips to proactively saving deals. Let's step into the world of a revenue leader for a second. CROs live in the forecasting platform to keep a pulse on where they would land in the quarter, which is great. That is not the problem we are trying to solve for. The problem we are solving is every revenue leader faces the challenge where they're either looped into a large deal too late, or they find deals in the forecasting platform that are just sitting there. I know it makes me mad, and I know it makes a revenue leader mad, especially in this economy where every deal is critical. We all know that. So to be more on top of such deals, you as the revenue leader schedule yet another weekly deal review meeting and try to live even more in the forecasting platform. Now the problem that poses is, in your meetings, you can only cover the top 20% deals. The AE won't even bring their bottom 80% deals. And second, forecasting platforms, even after you recognize a deal is at risk, they still force you to step into Slack or Zoom to strategize further. This status quo is reactive, filled with ad hoc and manual work, and worse yet, leaves the possibility, a huge possibility, of deals slipping through the cracks. Introducing Deal Rooms, an automated channel curated by Rattle for deals that matter to you the most. It is the in-your-face place for collaboration that automatically adds the right people at the right time, shines a light on all unworked deals, and 3, gives you an extra set of eyes through AI-generated call coaching. Let me show you an example of a deal room in action. Say, when a deal hits stage 2 and is greater than 100K, Rattle will automatically create a deal channel in Slack or MS Teams and add the deal team, including the AE, the SDR who sourced the deal, and maybe the sales manager. Now, as the deal progresses, Rattle will automatically pipe all deal activity into the channel. Like at stage 2, you want the handoff notes from the SDRs, so AE can be prepared before the first call. Or reminding the rep to disposition the first call after the call happens. At the same time, after every call, using Rattle's integration with your call recording software, we will post meeting notes, meeting minutes, and next steps to the deal channel. Think as a sales leader, you can click on any part of that meeting that is relevant, like this chat on pricing, and listen to only those 3 minutes that are relevant. You don't have to listen to the whole call anymore. Now, as the deal progresses, not only will Rattle send deal activity signals like state change or next steps or my favorite metric information in this deal channel so everyone is in loop and can collaborate, which also means sometimes you will find insufficient data that you can call the rep on. Deal Rooms also helps the AE by surfacing enablement content, like battle cards if a specific competitor is mentioned. Rattle will also manage the channel end-to-end, like adding more people. Say the deal hits stage 5, Rattle will automatically bring in the legal team to help with the red lines. Or say the deal hasn't moved in a month and it's a strategic deal, Rattle will automatically loop in the VP sales. So they have real-time visibility for deals that they should be working with their teams on. They can just read the channel history and they will get all context on what has happened on the deal so far. You know what this does? This ensures that all deals are worked on. And finally, Rattle will close the loop. When the deal is closed lost, we will automatically archive the channel. And if it's won, you can change the name. We personally change it to customer room. We remove the deal team and we add the CSM team so that they have full context on the deal. And everything that you can see in this example here is fully customizable. Now, you may say that your team is already creating channels for large deals. However, there is no automation. So you need the deal room automation, as that is the modern way to do RevOps. Set the rule once, see it scale to every deal that matters, and see just how much easier it is for a revenue leader to keep a pulse on their business. Now let's chat with David Ma, an amazing revenue operations leader at Zip, on how his team is using these deal rooms and what impact it drives for their team. Hey David,
Hello.
Thanks for coming in.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. Excited to do this.
I'm super excited to have you here. David, coming into revenue operations, when we were talking about modern RevOps, you said a few things about Rattle in that context, which is leak-proof RevOps.
Yeah.
Can you expand on leak-proof RevOps?
If you distill it down to its mathematical roots, you have a large set of people who could buy your product down to a very, very small set of people who actually buy, almost like a series of waterfalls that comes down to the final little cup of water and making sure that you get as much water from the highest point all the way down to the bottom. And so if you minimize leakage at any step, you're adding value to the process.
What problem were you trying to solve that made you give Rattle a shot?
Yeah, the thing that I really thought about is when I think of our stack, if your source of truth isn't the place where people are actually doing the collaboration, you actually have a lot of leakage between the knowledge it takes to win a deal. And so when I saw Rattle, I saw it as the layer that connects our collaborative place, our home, which is Slack, and our system of record, which is Salesforce. And I said, oh, this is the thing that binds them together and makes them work in harmony. And that extra bit of collaboration, that extra bit of data is what it could take to maybe take a deal from one stage to another. Fundamentally, sales is an extremely team-based process. The number of people it takes sometimes to close a deal, especially upmarket, it's not just an AE and maybe a solutions engineer. Our largest deals have sometimes 25 different people. Are we going to start an email thread with 25 different people? Deal rooms are basically the engine that powers making sure that we're able to create that collaborative space, have it sync back into our system of record, but also bring our system of record into the place of collaboration.
Can you explain how deal rooms work at Zip?
Yeah, so at Zip, we like to be, as we've talked about, leak-proof. We want to make sure that every deal gets the chance to close. And so we create our deal rooms at the sort of the opportunity level, which for us is a certain stage 2. Later on in the deal cycle, as more people get involved, there are certain fields in Salesforce. For example, if an SE gets added to the deal, it'll trigger adding that person. If a deal becomes late enough in forecast where we say, hey, this is one we think we're really going to win, we'll bring in layers of leadership to ensure that they have executive alignment on the deal.
And in the process of building out the logic for these deal rooms, how long of a process was that?
Probably did it in 10 minutes. Very quick. We had already been doing it ad hoc ahead of time, but it wasn't leak-proof. Some had them, some didn't. Some were private, some were public, and some were started at stage 0, some were started at stage 3, some were never started.
How did the team perceive it when they started getting added to these deal rooms?
I think they saw it as a relief because they were getting pressure to do it anyway. It'll just make it on its own. Great, we love that. Our executives and even our CEO, our CRO, sometimes they'll pop in a deal room and be like, hey, I know someone here. Sometimes a CEO coming in saying, I know the CFO is exactly what it takes to accelerate a deal, unblock a deal, get us in front of an executive audience to maybe help us get better pricing. And so exec alignment is huge, and that visibility comes from our leadership being able to access the collaboration channels.
I know one of your favorite features is also meeting intelligence.
Yeah, so when we first saw this, it sort of blew my mind. Our great reps will go back and they will rewatch a 30-minute call to understand and make sure they heard everything correctly, summarize it, synthesize it, and try and come up with a follow-up email, right? Meeting intelligence gives us the ability to synthesize and summarize what normally takes 60 minutes down to maybe 2 or 3 minutes of reading. Then we ask it, can you draft a follow-up email with the next steps? And it pre-drafts the email, so the rep only has to edit the email. And you cut hours out of every week. It improves our less good reps, and it makes our better reps faster.
And I also know that you use meeting intelligence and pipe them into deal rooms.
Yes.
How is that helpful?
If you think about the job of a sales leader, they actually need to have awareness and context on maybe several dozen deals at a time. Now, one leader can pop into all 30, 40, 50, 60, whatever, however many deals they're working, and just read the summaries. And in about a half hour, they'll be able to have more context about the deals than they would probably messaging all 15, 20 reps to get, sort of partial summaries, right? And so it's a visibility at scale thing. What Rattle has done for Zip is enabled all of the right people to get the right information at the right time about the right deals. And that may be hard to quantify at times, but it's one of those things that when you see it, you kind of believe it. And if you get someone going on it, they're pretty likely to be hooked.
Hey, David, this was amazing. Thanks for sharing your thoughts on how Zip is leveraging the product and how it's impactful to not just your team, but to your stakeholders.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for making a great piece of software that's instrumental to our stack now.
Let's talk about how modern RevOps leaders can curate a delightful experience for their teams who are on the front lines, your AEs, CSMs, SDRs, and SCs. Assisting customers and prospects is joyful for them. Putting data in Salesforce is surely not. So here's how Rattle 2.0 solves it. Now AEs can simply go to Rattle and see this amazingly clean interface that has their entire pipeline. They can make edits that are instantly updated in Salesforce. I can change views, say go from this quarter's pipeline to next quarter's, simple click, and my pipeline updates. Or add additional filters like only seeing new business opportunities while excluding renewals. And if while updating Salesforce, they run into a validation rule, Rattle will automatically prompt those fields in a pop-up, making it very easy for them. For managers, they can create views for each of their direct reports, which makes deal reviews a breeze. Now I know what you must be thinking. You must be thinking, okay, it's cool, but it's not revolutionary. You were promised revolutionary. All right, let's make this revolutionary. Now, as an AE, you can always go into this first view here called Digest. Digest has only those records that are out of compliance. No more trying to go into a view and see all the opportunities and all your records and figure out which fields you have to update at what point in the journey. It's all here in one place, auto-magically. This particular digest is telling me, Sahil, you have 4 records that should be fixed. I need to fix the close date for Acme because it's in the past. I need to update the next steps for Tesla because it's past due. And I need to input my MedPig information for these 2 records. And here's the best part and my favorite part. Once I fix it, I hit inbox 0 and get this beautiful message. You no longer have to chase down AEs for updates. You're in full control, and Rattle will do the accountability work for you. This is what we mean by modern RevOps. This is curating an experience that gets you the data that you need while making a delightful experience for the sellers. Now you've heard me talk about it. Let's talk to Mark Gremben, an amazing RevOps leader at Abnormal, about his experience with Rattle's board and digest and what impact it has had on him and his frontline team.
Sahil, good to see you.
Hey, good to see you as well.
Thanks for having me.
So, Mark, you have been a Rattle customer for a few years now at this stage, and we've known each other for a few years.
Yep.
What I would love to do today is just to understand more about your experiences using the product and how it has impacted you.
At times, I really felt overwhelmed, right? Where you're constantly chasing after people. You could spend all day sending messages, chasing down, different updates, different hygiene issues. And Rattle was one of those tools that just kind of took that worry away and automated that whole process, that follow-up. On top of that, it consolidated the view from the salesperson's aspect, right? You're not just asking them to do something, but you're delivering the action to them in a very concise format. So it allows them to action that issue and resolve it really quickly.
One of the features of Rattle that you use a lot is Rattle Board. Can you talk a little about why use Board in the first place and how do you use it?
One of the things we noticed is that you can message somebody for a specific action, but those messages compiled create a lot of noise. Instead of just hitting them with multiple alerts right in a row, it would be really cool if we could just give them a place where they go and action those alerts. And so that's why Board's been really successful for us, is it is that digest that the AEs can go to say, here are the list of things that I need to make updates to, and they know exactly what needs to get done. Have they identified the economic buyer? Do they understand who the champion is? Have they identified a pain?
What was the team's reaction when you rolled out board?
They loved it. They absolutely loved it. I mean, one, time saver. Two, again, you're taking away all the noise, right? So those individual alerts, and you're hitting them with everything at once.
Is there a reaction that told you that you deployed this in the right direction?
I think it was looking at the data and seeing the significant increase, the improvement of your data. And today, it's incredibly rare that an opportunity is missing a next step or that next step is out of date. We just make it so easy that, really the AE doesn't have a choice. They could go in and make the update, and they want to because that's reference material for them.
Looking at overall Rattle, what has been your CRO's perspective on you bringing in Rattle?
He loves it. I think Rattle has gone from being a productivity solution, something that's a bit tactical by nature, to a strategic solution for us.
A lot of people are skeptical. Budgets are difficult in this economy. What would you say to them?
So there's going to be a whole lot of time saved on the RevOps side. From the budget aspect, you're going to save a whole lot of money. Without Rattle, I would probably need to put a couple more people on my team. We would probably have to go buy a couple of tools to cover for what you guys are doing for us. On the sales side, it's visibility, it's productivity, it's enablement. That's a big use case for us. It's hard to put a value on that, but again, I would look past the tactical side of Rattle and see that this is a very strategic tool. I've told you before, Rattle's the Swiss Army knife of our tool stack.
Mark, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate you coming down and having this conversation.
Thanks, Sahil. Appreciate it.
Well, we made it. Thanks for tuning in. My hope is what you saw today inspired you on how you can be a more perfect modern RevOps leader. And we at Rattle would love to be a part of your journey. Visit us on our website, gorattle.com, to learn more. We're done, guys. Great job, everyone.